Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
These guys are our favorites, right, Dan? It's Brian and Greg. And that's not Shaggy from Scooby-Doo there in the other window. That is Britt Mooney, who is a part
Velma.
Okay, it's already started. There we go.
Well, the question of the day is Velma or Daphne?
Mary Ann or Ginger. There you go.
There you go.
Definitely Marianne.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. These are deep theological thoughts we're having here this
They are.
morning. Thank you very much. We love the guys at Phoenix Roasters Coffee That Matters. We're going to talk about a new book that is out. We're going to talk about that. Hey, nice. Very nice. Is
Nice
that a
product placement there. I like that.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
So you got
We're gonna
that, and then Wes was here with his hat, his one-of-a-kind hat that needs to be more than one of a kind, and you guys got the shirts on, and wow.
It all looks good.
You look like you're down in Jamaica, Dan. I wish I could party like you.
If only I was. Yeah.
See, if you were
These
in
waves
broadcasting,
haven't moved at all since I've been here. So.
if you were in broadcasting, your life would be oh so good.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's catch up with you guys. We do want to get into the book. What's been going on? Are things back to normal now for normal? What's normal, right?
Yeah.
Brian Gregg, new normal. What's going on? Then we'll talk with Britt.
Sure. No, I think, our story always goes through church first. Our whole purpose in existing as a coffee company is the kingdom. And so we've been able to successfully plant our fifth church up in Athens, Georgia.
All right.
And if you're a tech fan like me, you know that there's no more godless place in the world than Athens, Georgia. And so shooting fish in a barrel up there. Just point to anybody, and they need Jesus up there, especially the closer you get to Sanford Stadium. It's like the Death Star. Well,
Wow.
all joking aside, Pastor Nate and Pastor Stephen have come alongside of us and planted up there as God would have it in the classic Phoenix community way. They took over a closed down porn and adult novelties place and made it a Phoenix community.
That's awesome.
It is amazing.
Let's make this ultimately clear.
Here we go.
We did not close the store down.
No.
It was closed down months prior.
Yeah,
The location was known by everyone, the old porn shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We never participated, and because of our lack of business there, we didn't close it down.
What's funny is I talked to all my Georgia graduate friends, and they're like, "Really? You planted in Athens? Where?" I said, "Well, you know the old porn shop, right?" And they go, "Yeah." No.
Yeah.
Now I go up to, I live in Loganville, and it's just a short drive. I take the Harley up to the Harley place. What side of town is the new plant?
It's on the same side as the Varsity, and it's just a little bit closer into town, right past Millage on the left.
Okay. We have some good friends. Dan, C Spark Go. They're right off of Millage.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
they
this
are.
is on Broad Street.
Yeah, on Broad Street. Yeah, so on Broad Street, it's just beyond the Varsity and just beyond the new Sauce House barbecue place.
Yeah.
On
That
the
is
left.
awesome. Now, are they doing coffee as well, or is it just primarily a church plant and that's the future? What's the future for that church particularly?
Right. Well, I mean, everything has a coffee flair. They've got a nitro set up and a barista station, and they're serving that way. They're looking to be a kind of a study space for students, a place that's not the library or the fraternity house or dorm room, and they're having a great impact up there. We're really proud of them. They're proud to be a part of the Phoenix community. From a coffee standpoint, we are so. I used to have a pastor that would say we can't be caught navel gazing. Now I don't know where he came up with that, but it paints a picture.
Staring at the belly button.
Yeah, when we're so COVID conscious here, we forget that the emerging cultures where coffee is being grown, they are literally shut down and starving all over the world. I mean, it's hard to get the product out. It's, we are sending relief all the time to our farmers. It's just been a real interesting deal. God has brought us out of the COVID crisis where we lost probably 80% of our business overnight back in March.
Wow.
Greg, from an operations and sales force, he has been a force. And you know Greg, he is a force. And he was not going to let us fail. And we all kind of went surfing in his wake. And it has really been amazing to watch he and Emily and everybody pick up their part and make this thing happen. We're probably back up to about 70% now.
Wow.
One short story. This summer, we were basically canceling our green bean order. They couldn't ship out anyway because the Panama was closed down. But we'd reduced our order amount, and then we were going to cancel it because we just didn't have any need for it, because all of our conventions and church business brewing opportunities had shut down. And so we were just at a place where we were just trying to consolidate income and expenses. And one expense was we didn't need to carry green bean debt for 7 or 8 months when we didn't need it. Yeah. And so I was calling to tell them, hey, we're going to cancel our order. Just put the money towards next year's crop, sell what you can sell in country, and survive like we are. And they said, well, we were really hoping you'd take the whole container. Instead of 20,000, we had cut it to 10. And now they're saying you need to take the 40,000 pounds. And I came back, I told Brian and Jeff, so I don't know. I don't know where we store it. And so we just started figuring it out. And there were some issues in Panama, and they said, we want you to take it. I said, well, understand, we won't have any money to pay you until next year, sometime around April, to be able to pay anything for the coffee. And I said, because we just don't have it. And they said, we understand, but we know that we will be paid with you. And that's where our story in the books over and over again. Like about relationships, rest is details. Well, details was we had to figure out how to store it without costing us more money. And so about, another story in the books, 100% chance, what are the chances as you go down God's path? 100% likely that you'll bump into God, his person, his plan. And so you say yes to everything you can say yes to. And so we did. And about 2 weeks after that, as God has it, we have a very large church here in the Gwinnett area that we had actually been building relationships with for 10 years. Yeah. And because of Catalyst and the Orange conferences, we were able to build even more of a relationship with this church. And we're about 2 weeks after that, they called and they said, hey, we've got some good news. Y'all are in, this other coffee company's out, and we're just going to work it out over the next few months that y'all are at everything. Wow. So I'm not going to say the name of the church yet because, the check's not cleared. But we're 99.95% sure that it's happening, and come the 1st of January, it'll be public. And
that's awesome.
But 2 weeks after we said yes to the green bean, then I went, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, we will need your coffee.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And so God always supplies.
Yep.
As you are going down his path, he supplies.
And Greg worked so hard on the nitro stuff. That was the one thing as it was getting hotter. COVID was heating up. So was the weather. And Greg worked so hard on the nitro stuff. And we're starting to see that just take root all over the city. We've got thousands of growlers out there where people have come and gotten to go growlers. We've got
almost 1,000.
Oh, almost 1,000. Well, that's like thousands, right? And like thousands, And so, Greg's done such an amazing job with that. I was down at the Atlanta Breakfast Club Chicken and Waffles and Nitro Coffee Counter on Auburn Avenue at 340 Auburn Avenue.
Now they have 2 locations. You're talking about the new one.
Yeah, 340 Auburn Avenue, a block away from Ebenezer. It's on. Well, they don't have our Nitro. I'm telling a Nitro story.
Coffee.
They do,
boys.
I know.
We separate you two.
They're about to have our nitro. They can't say, they'll have to say yes to it now.
That's for sure.
Because of this story.
That's right. They are killing it down there. Having such a great response, going through eight kegs or so a week. It's just amazing what they've done by saying yes to a very kind of depressed area of our city and coming in there and adding business and jobs and partnering with a ministry center and micro housing. It's really cool. So you really need to see what they're doing down there. But it's stories like that all over the city that has gotten us through from a coffee standpoint. Truth is, we've been open since the 1st of June with our churches, way before a lot of churches were opening. Very community driven. We don't have really any childcare. It's very family style, social distancing and all that. And we've seen growth in attendance. We've seen growth in the generosity and giving. So I really, we've been blessed. We're experiencing the favor of God right now. So
good.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's turn to Britt here real quick and talk about the book, which is Say Yes. Now, when did it come out?
It's coming out Monday. So it's releasing. It's on pre-order right now with Amazon, and it'll be officially out on Monday.
All right. So, Britt, tell us how you got involved in writing the book. Brian says you're like the brains of the organization, so you're the one that had to write it. I'm just paraphrasing what Brian said. But that's how you got involved.
That's dangerous if I'm the brains.
More brains than us.
Yeah. But it really kind of started again back, like Brian said, for years. As we tell these stories at conferences, and we tell these stories in our churches, we tell these stories to people. They're just blown away by all that God has done, and we just get to give Him glory after glory with all of these stories. And people say you should write a book. And we were sitting after a leadership conference. We were sitting at lunch at Chick-fil-A. I don't know if we can say that out loud.
Sure you can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Chicken of Love. And we were sitting there at Chick-fil-A, and Brian and I and Emily, and Brian just said, I would love it if you wrote the story, because I'm an author. I've written a lot of fiction and some nonfiction, and I'm, one of the pastors working for the coffee company. And so he said, I would love it if you wrote the story. He said, because we didn't really have a writer, as a part of our group. And I was already doing a lot of that writing with the emails and that sort of thing. So I just started saying yes. It's just like the book, just like the title of the book. Even my story with the book, it is itself a story of saying yes, of starting to work out and see God's favor and God opening doors after I said yes, after we started to try to network and try to talk to people, and you get an agent and you get a publishing deal and you get rejected. And I mean, there's a whole process to it, but you can see God's hand in it the whole way. And we really wanted to make it not just about our story, though, because not everyone obviously is called to start a coffee company or plant a church. Right. We wanted it to be a book that was relatable to everybody. And so we're just using our stories, and it's primarily Brian's story and about the first third, but we're using our story to inspire others that you can say yes. Like God's got amazing things that you might think are impossible, but it's going to take risk. You're not going to be sure if you can even do it. You're going to feel unworthy. You're going to feel all of those things. But God is calling you to amazing things. And the only thing He's asking you to do is say yes. That's all He's asking you to do, is to say yes. And because of the kind of congregations and the people that we have in our churches, of the broken and the hurting, it's got to be a really simple message. Not that they're not intelligent, but we're trying to get them to rise out of the ashes. We're trying to get them to rise out of the brokenness of their own life and to be redeemed into what God really has for them. So that's really the thrust of the book, is to inspire people to just simply say yes to God.
Britt Mooney is talking about the book that's coming out on Monday, Say Yes, How God-Sized Dreams Take Flight. He is also pastor there in Suwanee. So when you sat down to write this, you knew a lot of the story. I'm assuming your favorite chapter, probably the first third, you would say is probably your favorite part, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Getting to talk about Brian.
Well, I think that probably my favorite part, the one part that I think is the most impactful, is when Brian met a guy by the name of Duke Harris, and he just kind of runs into Duke, and they were on a youth trip, and he was with another church at the time, and when Duke told his testimony of how he was in prison and God miraculously taught him how to read, and so he could read the Bible, and just how all of these miraculous things happened in Duke's life, that really gave Brian the extra inspiration himself to say yes to what God was telling him to do. And what's really amazing to me about, as I was collecting stories, it really came down to everybody who's a part of the story. It came down to everybody saying yes, whether that was the farmers, or, it's their story about how they said yes, or the Javier Petit, who taught our roaster guy, Wes Patterson, that you just saw, taught him how to roast, one of the best roasters in the world. All he did was say yes. Like, it's just one yes story after another that just shows that regular people can be a part of God's redemptive plan too. So I would say that's probably my favorite, because I think it's such a powerful story of how Duke Harris was in prison and saw God move mightily, and just move mightily in his life.
Yeah.
But again, we're a community, and so all of those stories help us to inspire me, inspire each other.
Wow.
We're talking with all the guys there at, well, I shouldn't say all. There's so many there at Phoenix Roasters. Brian, Gregg, and Britt there. Brian, Gregg, let me ask you a question. This may or may not be in the book. When you're going for the yes, and all you see is no, what do you do?
At the beginning of COVID, the big thing is about, hey, we got to open our communities back up and get going because of depression, alcoholism, drugs, and all these different things, all these abuse things. Well, a lot of times you hear politicians say things, you don't know if it's true or not. Well, I can tell you it's true about depression, because the first 3 weeks of COVID, when we lost about $65,000 in event business with Catalyst and Orange and North Points and all these things shutting down, I got depressed, because it's like, this is what helps pay our salaries, and there's only so much profit in a $12 bag of coffee, and it's like, wow. About 3 weeks there, and I said, I can't be this way. And I said, we've got to sell coffee. I just don't know how we're going to sell it. There's 17 of us sitting in a room, and they were looking at me, and I'm going, look, don't look at me. Y'all are smarter than I am. we all have to sell coffee in our areas. We have to figure it out. And so I would say, when you face the no's, you have to pray and let God expand your mind to the yes, because the yes will bring the no to. If you don't say yes, you're going to bring to fruition the no. It's going to multiply in your life as you allow the no's to compound on your life. Well, that's all that's going to happen. Your mind's going to be shut down. Your opportunities will be shut down. God's word will be shut down. His spirit will shut down. Your spirit won't match up with his spirit at all. Because there are times where God's spirit says stop, and there are no's, but the no's lead to a yes.
Yeah.
So as you say yes, his yes opens up even more, because he does. I mean, in the church world, the word prophet is, prosperity gospel. Let's say that word ties to church, but then sometimes people say, well, prophet's not great. Well, I found out that in Proverbs, prophet is biblical. The word prophet, it says in Proverbs, I think it's chapter 14, all hard work is made profitable by the Lord.
Yeah.
Right? So prophet is a good thing. All hard work is a good thing. It doesn't matter what your work is. If you work hard at it, and yes, be smart at it. Yes, be applicable. Yes, be open, but you have to work hard. And that means you're pressing through the no's, you're pressing through the difficulties. And like I said, when we're able to talk about this church in January, it started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we didn't really know how to roast coffee. It was an ugly roast, and I
was in charge back then.
We won't go into that detail, but it wasn't anything like it is now. I mean, it wasn't. And it was still really good, but it wasn't great like it is now. And but the relationship started over 10 years earlier, and it went through a bunch of no's until this year of COVID, and it turned into a yes in July. And we're ready for it, and we are working it. And so, yes, you press through the no's until it turns to a yes.
I'll tell you one quick story. May 2nd, 1988, 6:30 in the morning, I received the love and forgiveness of Jesus. And You talk about somebody that was on the verge of choosing death over life. That was me. That morning, May 2nd, 1988, I received the love and forgiveness of Jesus and chose life. But I remember very clearly many, many days walking out of addictive behavior and substance abuse and things like that. Many, many days, I could hear the enemy just say in my ear, just stop. Quit trying. And it was like I envisioned myself like walking out of a sewage pit, you know, and it was like the more progress you make, the more it feels like everything's hitting you in the face. And the enemy's just saying, just stop. It will be better. And that's, you know, what Greg's saying is exactly right. The temptation during COVID and the hard thing about coming back out of it is going to be to crank up those engines again and get moving, because it's going to hurt. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, they say, well, I go to the gym and I'm not seeing the progress that I want. I'm not seeing the change I want. Or they say, I go to church, but I'm just not seeing the change I want. And I say, well, look, here's something guaranteed. If you want to see change, like exponential change, quit going.
That's good.
Quit going to the gym. You'll see change.
Yeah.
Quit going to church. You'll see change.
Yeah.
Not the change you want, but it'll be change.
It'll be change.
Well, laziness is very difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
Free handout of money is almost impossible to overcome. And when people understand that they have to work, that it's biblical to work, it's very good for you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to work, and to work hard. Then all of a sudden, you know, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all these things start to match up. And it's just how God's created us. And different people work different ways. Yeah. And that's okay. But I know this, when I was the first 3 or 4 weeks of this, of not having a lot to do and trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden we started having more to do and more to do and more to do, until now it's a lot to do. And we're very thankful for all the different brewing jobs that we've got lined up now through December. It's a lot to do. But I told Brian, I said, look, that first month of COVID made me lazy, and it made me not want to work. I can't imagine somebody that may not have the same work mentality, what it made them feel like. And I said, I know how hard it was for me to come back out of it. Yeah. And it literally is like when you're overweight and you used to be in shape, and then all of a sudden you're fat and you're lazy, and it's like, well, I don't feel like getting up at 6 a.m. and going for a walk. I don't feel like it when I get home. I'd rather eat a cheeseburger and just veg out and watch a movie. Well, you're going to get what you get. But if you start pressing forward through the laziness, through the I can't, I don't know if I can, I should, or then all of a sudden you see some success and you go, I can do this, and I feel better.
That's so good. Hey, look, we got to take a break. We're going over just a bit, but we love spending time with you guys. Let's catch up in December. The book is coming out on Monday. Say Yes, How God-Sized Dreams Take Flight. And I was thinking, and we got to go, this new plan in Athens. I wonder how many folks are thinking it's still the porn shop and going in there. And what a surprise. Hello.
I said, you know, a wife could get her husband to go to church by, you know, say, hey, let's go down to the old porn shop. Oh, wow, look. What's this? Let's go in here.
Do they see a picture of Brian? They're like, wait a minute.
Phoenix Roasters.coffee. All right, we got to take a break. We love you guys. We'll catch up with you on in December. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.